So the first one, this is a big deal, is from Mary Kate.
Hi, Dr. Cole. My question is, if you have had previous food sensitivity study done, can you do another food sensitivity study to see if your body has healed and you're able to tolerate the foods? My first one said I couldn't have avocado, and I'm bummed.
This lab is a snapshot in time, and you see, okay, avocados, fruits, and vegetables. I can't eat anything but air and ice cubes. What the heck am I supposed to do?
Hey, Dr. Cole. What are the benefits of the hydrogen pills?
Hydrogen water, what's the deal with it? I actually have...
All this education is out there, and there's so much contradiction, right? Everything is so expensive out of pocket. I have had consults with multiple leading doctors on Instagram, and I don't know where to turn.
This is something that we definitely have a lot of clinical experience for. And I would want to look at what's up, and welcome to the Art of Being Well. We're giving away some free healthy stuff, guys. You know, every Ask Me Anything episode, pretty much, have we failed them once?
Never.
No.
We're pretty consistent there. You can get a free telehealth consultation with the clinical team and I. What else? Free supplement protocol stacks that we have at drwillcole.com.
Books.
We have, free signed books. You can pick which one you want. Ketotarian, the inflammation spectrum, intuitive fasting, or gut feelings. And the supplement protocol stacks we have hormone health, gut health, nervous system support, lots of different ones. You can check out the different ones we have there on the Art of Being Well supplement line. Anyways, if you win, you can pick which one you want. For a chance to win, head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the Art of Being Well there. Tell us what you love about the show. You can leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself, or you could take a screenshot of your review and message me on Instagram at Dr. Will Cole, and then the team will go through the messages on Instagram as well as read all your Apple Podcast reviews themselves on Apple Podcasts and randomly pick winners from both places. You don't have to send me a message, but you could if you wanted to. They'll randomly pick winners, and then they'll reach out to you, and you can tell us which one you want, either the books, the protocol, or the telehealth consultation. Good luck.
Great.
Good luck.
I love the reviews. When I see them come in, they make my day.
I love
Yeah.
when
Because
people...
there are people I don't know. Like, I know our telehealth patients, which I honestly, when they send us an email or a sweet word, like that means so much to me. But it also is really awesome to see people that I don't know personally, I don't get to know, say really cool things about what they learned or got out of and how it helped their lives.
Yeah.
Like, we're helping people's lives just from a podcast. This is pretty cool.
It's
pretty
such a blessing.
Opportunity.
We don't take it lightly.
Absolutely not. So to help me out, every Ask Me Anything episode, we have two brilliant members from my clinical team. They're functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners, Andrea and Emily. What's up?
What's up? What's going
Hello,
on?
everybody.
And we are this is the first ever Ask Me Anything.
No, not the first ever Ask Me Anything. That was the weirdest pause.
Back up. This is the first ever Ask Me Anything dramatic pause. It's like one of the things when you remove a comma, it changes the meaning entirely.
Exactly. You just threw
This
your
is not
hands
the
up
first
in the
ever.
air.
Yeah, this is not the first ever Ask Me Anything. Sorry, I forgot how I was going to succinctly say this. This is the first ever Ask Me Anything where,
There you go.
without dramatic pause,
Da-da-da-da.
where we are actually going to let you ask your questions to us from voice messages that you left us. So come on, guys. I mentioned this last AMA, and we're doing it today because we got so many exciting burning health questions from you all that
They
listen
were
to the
really cool.
podcast. Yeah,
It was really cool.
Yeah, we're excited that everyone was up for it, right? So this is really cool.
So submit your questions, guys. All you have to do to record a message for us that we will play on the AMA episode is go to speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. Speakpipe.com, speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. And then it's super easy. It's like you're calling me and you're pressing record, and then we'll play your voice message with your health question on the podcast.
It's like all the voice memos I get from my friends of their rambling thoughts and questions about health. It's like I
love it.
I now actually, you're like my internet friends, and I like it.
Yeah. So what's the first one? What's the first question
Are
from the listeners?
we ready for this?
This is a big deal for me.
All right. So the first one, this is a big deal, is from Mary Kate. Okay.
Hi, Mary Kate.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, Dr. Cole and team. I've been watching the podcast or listening to the podcast for a while now. It's amazing. My question is, if you have had a previous food sensitivity study done with lab work and the whole 9 yards, can you do another food sensitivity study like a year or two later to see if your body has healed and you're able to tolerate the foods that you couldn't tolerate before? My first one said I couldn't have avocado, and I'm bummed. That was like my jam. So if you could just answer this, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Great
I
question.
have so many thoughts. I'm really interested.
Yeah,
we
I'm
didn't talk about
excited.
this at all, but
No.
I have food sensitivity in me. I have lots of thoughts. So.
Yes. Yes.
So what do food sensitivity tests look for? It depends on what your test you're talking about, but typically they're IgG. There's some that look IgM and some that look at IgE. But classically, it's IgG, IgM, and depends on how comprehensive that test and sort of the methodology of the test. And each food sensitivity lab is going to have a different level of sensitivity and specificity, basically reliability. Like how reliable is this test in translating it to real world? Are there, what's the rate of false positives and false negatives, things like that? And that applies to any lab, right? You want to look at the context and how reliable is this test. So this is my take on it, of looking at labs for a long time, over 15 years, is that food sensitivity test can be a tool within the toolbox, but when you see lots of foods being positive, especially non-immunoreactive foods like avocados, like fruits and vegetables, basically. Yes, of course, allergies can happen. Of course, food sensitivities can happen. But when you see lots of fruits and vegetables that aren't super immunoreactive, meaning they're not high on the likelihood of being more creating an inflammatory response, creating immune system response, then let me maybe back up a bit here. There's a difference between food intolerance, food sensitivities, and allergies. So sometimes those terms are conflated. And it's okay. I mean, it's fine, but we just have to know what you're talking about, right? Food allergies and sensitivities or we could lump those in as food reactivities, I think is a good umbrella term for them, is that food allergies are IgE. They're more of the allergies like the histamine response that you expect, like the rash that people get on their skin when they have the food. It could be more severe. It could be life-threatening, right? Or it could be a mild allergy, where their tongue maybe swells or their tongue gets itchy or
because there's
something like
oral
that.
allergies too.
Right. There's lots of different immune system responses that or symptoms that can happen with an IgE response. Some mild, some moderate, some life-threatening. That's an allergy. It's immune-mediated, meaning it involves the immune system, and that's what's going on. Food sensitivities are also immune-mediated. They're IgG and IgM. They're more a delayed response. They typically can be less severe, but not always. You can have pretty severe food sensitivity symptoms. It's just a different way. They're mediated by the immune system in a different way. But it can cause digestive problems. It can cause different inflammatory symptoms, neurological symptoms, lots of other inflammatory type symptoms. Intolerance is different, which intolerance and sensitivity can be conflated. Intolerance, by a strict definition, if you're being puritanical with your words here, they are defined by typically an enzyme deficiency, like a lactose intolerance is a lack of lactase and the body's not able to break it down. So it involves the gut. Yes, it involves enzymatic production, right, with the pancreas, for example, but it is not strictly understood as being involving the immune system, at least directly. Certainly indirect, ripple effects, right? So does that matter in real life? Not necessarily per se, but I think you want to know what the mechanism of action is. That does matter.
Right.
Not to, split hairs about things, but just knowing how to know what you're dealing with, to know the mechanism of action, to know the dysfunction will be helpful to give the proper support.
Yes.
So if someone has like a pancreatic insufficiency or a enzyme deficiency, maybe why is that? And then getting the body the proper enzymatic support. Versus if it is like a biotoxin or something that triggered an autoimmune response and it's immune mediated, that's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the backstory on this. And sometimes it's called food intolerance test, but technically speaking, it's not a true intolerance, but you could use that word. Certainly the body feels intolerant to it, but it is a different thing. So food sensitivity testing, we're looking at IgG, IgM. When you see foods that are not typically inflammatory, it's not like dairy or wheat or eggs or these things that are more likely to have sensitivity. And you see lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of whole real foods. It's less to do with those foods and more to do with the immune system's overreaction to those foods. So when you see avocados or a banana or whatever, fruits and vegetables, then my mind goes to, from a clinical interpretation standpoint, why is this happening in the first place?
Bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. There's a larger, it's a telltale sign. It's kind of ruling in a way, indirectly, leaky gut syndrome.
Yes.
It's things are passing through the gut lining that shouldn't be able to pass through the gut lining, and that's causing molecular mimicry or some sort of immune response, and it is causing the immune system's response against these otherwise healthy foods. So the goal here is not to create the sort of unintended orthorexia, which can happen. This snapshot in time, this lab is a snapshot in time, and you see, okay, avocados, fruits and vegetables. I can't eat anything but air and ice cubes. What the heck am I supposed to do? Well, that's why I think these labs you're basing your breakfast, lunch, and dinner forever, for all eternity, based off of this snapshot in time. I think that is where things what's if you retested the next week or the next month or 6 months from now, what's that look like? So our interpretation of this, and we do run food sensitivity testing when it's clinically appropriate, and we run more comprehensive data to look at the bigger, deeper context and even things beyond food sensitivity testing, just looking at the immune system of how it's behaving, and what's causing this overreaction to otherwise healthy foods. So the foods could be exacerbating the issue, but it's not truly the causation. It's sort of an amplification. It's stressing an already stressed out immune system, I think, is another way of putting it. So that's kind of our take on this. There's a smaller subset of people, maybe a lot of people that listen to the podcast, that have autoimmunity, diagnosed or undiagnosed, things like celiac disease, other gluten sensitivity issues. Cross-reactive foods I do find to be a little bit more helpful for that population. So things that can mimic gluten. So gluten-free grains, things like rice and corn and quinoa, eggs are on that, chocolate's on that, coffee's on that,
sorghum,
dairy's
teff,
on that.
Dairy.
So it's not... So if rice or corn or whatever shows up positive on that gluten reactivity, cross-reactivity screen, if let's say rice is positive, right? That gluten-free flour is positive. It is not a rice sensitivity. It's a gluten sensitivity to rice. It's a gluten reactivity to rice. So it's as if it's positive on that test, it's as if that person had never gone gluten-free. Their body's still tagging the rice or the corn and the quinoa or the dairy or the eggs or whatever, the chocolate, with the gluten antibody.
Yes.
With a flag for destruction. So it's a different behavior that certainly, is it relevant for everybody? No. But for people that have known or suspected gluten sensitivity, it is a helpful diagnostic tool. Because you could eat clean and gone gluten-free, but still creating this inflammatory cascade for your body, bioindividuality. So that is an aspect to some food sensitivity testing, but certainly not a lot. And that's kind of not what she's saying with avocados. My opinion would be it's probably leaky gut syndrome. I'd have to have greater context to know for sure.
Yeah, because it's not, is it avocado's fault?
Right. Is it avocado's fault or not? And then retesting. To answer your question more succinctly, retesting, yes. If you've been actively working on your gut health, if you've been working on dealing with environmental triggers that can, like mold and bacteria or environmental toxins that could cause overreaction, even past trauma, unresolved trauma can create this hypervigilance where it's like, have you been dealing with the upstream root cause issue so you can work on reintroduction?
Well, Sorry, because here's my thought on this, and what I feel really passionate about is because people will do that and they'll remove the foods but do nothing else because they're already eating clean.
Exactly.
And so you may remove avocado, but then the next 10 things that you are eating, because you've now eliminated so much of your other food, is now showing up on that next screen. And it's this endless cycle of, if you don't fix the gut, you're going to continuously see this problem. And I think that that's the biggest limitation to this test in the first place. I'll never forget, this was probably 10 plus years ago. when we did like a screening. It's like if you know the test, there's over 125 different foods on this test, and they label it as green, yellow, or red, and it tells you whether or not. I will never forget that someone came back and the only 2 things that were not yellow or red were alfalfa sprouts and trout. And this person was so overwhelmed. They were like, so can I only eat alfalfa sprouts and trout for the rest of my life? And I'm like,
sounds miserable.
No, it
That
does
would
sound
absolutely
absolutely
be miserable.
And there was like alkaline water or something else on
Yeah,
there.
it sounds
and
like a fun party.
Yeah, it sounds awful. But it's so hard to like, now you've created this fear. And it's like, well, now am I eating these foods that are, I'm like, no, you have to weigh the cost benefit to the food as comparatively to what the potential for inflammation is.
Yeah, we have this conversation a lot within our initial consultations too, because this is brought up often. I think a lot of times this is where people can start when they're trying to figure out what's going on. And it makes sense to me.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. I would want to know, why am I not feeling good after I'm eating something, right? But I think that I love what you said there, Andrea, too, because if you don't truly look at the bigger picture like you're talking about, then your gut is just going to find more things to have more problems with, right? And so I think that even with testing, and you may have done this, Mary Kate, but if you're not retesting and looking at the other parts of the picture, you're not going to fully know what the problem is, right? And that's where food sensitivity testing or allergy testing, sometimes it can be very helpful to start out with, to see, well, what's reacting here or whatnot. But I don't know that I would do it by itself ever. I think that making sure we're looking at the gut, making sure we're looking at these other areas to see how the body's functioning alongside that is going to be more helpful. And also, I know when we look at food sensitivities, allergies, we actually run testing that kind of differentiates between the two, which I think is very helpful as well, rather than just looking at one side of that picture. Yeah.
So avocados are a great food, right? I mean, they're a great fruit. Fiber
and it sounds
rich,
like she eats them a lot.
She likes them and missed them and wishes she can bring them back.
And that might have been why they were reactive in the first place. Because if it's because it's the thing that you're leaning into most heavily. And again, it's not avocado's fault that it's ending up in your bloodstream. It's not. It's escaping the gut lining. So it's really, it's a gut issue.
Yeah, again, you can make the argument, and there is some clinical benefit to, for some people in some cases, if it's not too restrictive, caveat there, to remove those foods
100%.
For a time, because Andrea's point, that cost benefit analysis is like, is it gonna be a needle mover for you?
Right.
So and if it's a significant needle mover, meaning it's going to help your symptoms, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think interpretation of labs and understanding the context of it's important here, and not creating that sort of fear and anxiety that, like, stressing about the healthy foods isn't good for your health either, which is going to further impact that sort of vagal tone, inflammatory dysregulation that we don't want.
And I mean, honestly, if someone comes to me and they say, oh, apples showed up on my food sensitivity and I knew it because every time I ate them, I didn't feel good, then don't have it. I'm not saying just because it's not the root cause doesn't mean, like you're saying, removing it isn't helpful. But again, are the next 10 things that you lean into going to be the next 10 things that show up on your test?
Because it's back to that statement I mentioned, stressing an already stressed out immune system. So like Emily said, like that list of foods that love you back will shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink because you haven't dealt with why your immune system's lacking resilience in the first place.
Well, and even going back to the patient that you brought up too, we had to look at them and say, no, we can't just focus on these two things, right? So
I'll never forget her.
We kind of have to train and give understanding as to why we can't always follow that to a T if everything's lit up, right? We have to still focus on foods that we know can help the body heal, even if they're showing up, but it just has to be done in a clinical way, in a thoughtful way, right? It needs to make sense. So sometimes it works, and sometimes you have to kind of go against the grain a little bit in that way.
I do appreciate that you brought up the gluten cross-reactive, though, because that's a completely different conversation for a lot of patients.
Yeah, it is. So there's some really good clinical uses for these tests, right? But I would not bank, your life and every meal you eat forever and ever based off of this one snapshot in time, of this one pathway on a test. Look, avocado is a great food for some people. It's higher, and it can be a histamine liberator for some people. It's a higher FODMAP, so people that have SIBO. Like there's a yin and yang for basically every food. It could be a delicious food medicine for one person, and then it could be high FODMAP. It's going to be an issue for people that have SIBO. It's going to, if someone has histamine intolerance, pretty severe histamine intolerance or mast cell activation syndrome, could be a problem. Does it make avocado bad? No. Does it make it good for many people? Yes, it does. But we have to meet your body, meet your immune system where it's at. And then, as we all keep saying, work on reintroduction long term. When you're dealing with these upstream issues of why you have the problem in the first place, reintroduction will happen a lot more unimpededly and should happen. We want you to have as much flexibility and enjoyment of food as possible.
Mary Kate, we want to get your avocado back.
Yes, this is mission getting Mary Kate's avocado back, right, Sam? Sam's on the patient experience team, and she just walked in as soon as we talked about Mary Kate and avocados.
Always the best timing.
Always. But yeah, I agree. I think ultimately at the end of the day, that was great information. But Mary Kate, call and set up a consult. We want to meet with you. We want to figure out why you're
reacting.
Let's
look at these labs.
Yeah. Let's look beyond the food sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Cole. Second question came in anonymously. I don't know how anonymous it is whenever it's your voice, but I mean,
but maybe it's just like on SpeakPipe. They don't know.
Yeah,
they can put their
and
name.
you don't have to. You don't have to. If you want to stay anonymous, you absolutely can.
100%.
It's like Delilah after dark.
I know. I appreciate it though. It's always super mysterious. I feel like again, like some stranger.
You can friend. You can play this episode at night, and then it will be like a whole different jam if you grew up in the 90s.
After dark. All right. Anyways, so here's the second question.
Hey, Dr. Cole, what are the benefits of the hydrogen pills? I've seen a lot of hype about them lately and was just curious if it is something the average person should be taking and how many you take a day. Love your podcast. Thank you.
So sweet.
I love it.
It was so
this
sweet.
is so fun.
It's so fun.
I'm loving this probably more than I should, but it's okay.
So now I need my Delilah voice. Calm and serene.
Just so you know, I actually have gotten asked this question a few times in group calls with our patients.
Okay. Yeah. Hydrogen water. What's the deal with it? I actually had one of the leading researchers on this topic a few years ago, Alex Tarnava. So go back and listen to that episode. Maybe Brooke on the podcast team, we can put it in the show notes. Alex Tarnava, Art of Being Well, listen to it. Very compelling. He lives in middle of nowhere in Canada, but we talked at length about hydrogen-rich water. A lot of really good data around it. It's something that is relatively inexpensive for people to get some benefit from. Mainly it's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits. Here are some of my favorite studies. Reducing oxidative stress, which is an aspect of inflammation, or oxidative stress can be a contributing factor to inflammation. Think of oxidative stress kind of like a cellular rusting in a way, and you have this sort of antioxidant oxidative stress balance within the body. A certain level of oxidation is good. It's an important part of human health, but you don't want excess oxidative stress to the body. Right. This study in 2020, it was a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, randomized, looked at healthy adults and consuming 1.5 liters of hydrogen-rich water for 4 weeks showed antioxidant capacity increase and reduced oxidative stress markers compared to plain water. Really good study. Wasn't a huge population, but compelling data. Another study looked at improved exercise performance and recovery. And another one looked at enhanced metabolic health. This is subjects with metabolic syndrome consuming high concentration of hydrogen-rich water for 24 weeks showed reduced total cholesterol, decreased lipid peroxidation, and increased vitamin C and vitamin E levels. Basically, the body's reserves could increase because it wasn't spent towards spending on dysregulated metabolic health. Improved antioxidant status and lipid profiles. 24 weeks. After 24 weeks, pretty cool. Another study looked at it's supporting liver function in 20 subjects with potential metabolic syndrome. For 8 weeks, increased SOD levels, which is superoxide dismutase, which is a beneficial antioxidant that your body makes. It's an important part of glutathione production, which is the master antioxidant of the body. And then, of course, all of this is kind of tied to, we could assume, it's going to lower inflammation levels. And another study looked at that. It was the International Journal of Molecular Sciences looked at 25, it was a sort of a meta-analysis, 25 study review found hydrogen-rich water reduced inflammatory markers. They looked at CD14 cell frequency in healthy adults and showed potential managing inflammation in conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. And the researchers encouraged more studies being done, which I would encourage that as well. But yeah, I mean, the data that's out there, there's limitations to these studies. I mean, a lot of these are small scale. A lot of these are shorter term. But the data we do have is really cool. And there's no negative side effects. There's no negative. You're just adding extra hydrogen to your water. That's all. It's already H2O. You're just kind of amplifying the hydrogen aspect.
Yeah, I just even think about the people that we're working with, and especially with like bodies that are burdened by environmental toxins, and we're not just wanting to flush these things out, but also replenish at the same time. I can only imagine the benefits, especially with what we're finding in research, and how that could just help kind of replenish stores quicker, right? And get these people feeling better faster. I think that that's just it's a tool in the toolbox, right? But I think that it's definitely got some great research behind it.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
I'm sorry. The entire time you were talking, ever since you talked about rusty cells, all I could think of was like the Tin Man and like going around with like an oil thing and like
yeah, so it's kind of like
that's what I pictured.
I love it.
It's like Dorothy with that little
100%. It just kind of was weird to me to think about our insides rusting. But other than that, I agree. I don't love getting too caught up in this kind of stuff, because this is when someone has an entire cupboard at their home with all of their 45 products that they think they have to incorporate throughout the day and all that other stuff. But I do think the research is really cool. And if someone's in like that just general health optimization, they feel good when they take it, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's one. I think for people that don't have inflammatory problems, or maybe
like,
they may not notice a difference. Yeah. They may not know. There's no negative drawback to it. It's just other than your money and spending money on it.
Yeah.
But if you have inflammatory problems, and it is a lower cost way, and it doesn't really taste like anything other than water, so you can I could see like someone being more practical, like more realistic. They could stick with it. It's a habit they could stick with because it doesn't taste bad, right?
Yeah.
It just tastes like water. I could see there are a lot of like arguments towards like, okay, yeah, implement that. And yeah, you just have to kind of test it for yourself. We have a hydrogen water we're going to be coming out with on the Art of Being Well supplement line. So subscribe.
Very excited.
Yeah, will we announce it on the podcast? We may.
Yeah, we
There's
should.
a lot of things we don't announce on the podcast. Just go to drwillcole.com and head to shop. There's tons of things that you all have asked for that we have gotten to people that aren't telehealth patients. So like, have at it. There's a whole store of people, mast cell stabilizers or nervous system support, and people are like, okay, I don't want to be a functional medicine telehealth. I don't need a functional medicine doctor. I just want some things that you recommend. That's what the Art of Being Well supplement line is for.
We've really, really optimized this line over the last year.
Yeah, so there will be hydrogen water. At the time of recording, it's not out, but keep checking back in the shop and it will be in there.
It's not a bait and switch. We promise it's coming. But yeah.
Yeah. So, there's something else I wanted to say about that. Okay. There's also like more expensive hydrogen machines.
I was going to say the actual home units.
Like the units.
Yeah.
Those may be beneficial too. But I typically just have people take the tablet. It's very low cost. You can get the fancy machines. There's going to be some benefit to the fancy machines, right? But we want to make functional medicine and health as much accessible as it can be, and I haven't seen a significant difference between the machines that are pricier and the tablets that are not pricey.
But if it gets you to do it and you feel good, do you?
Yeah.
And sometimes the machines do more than just hydrogen. Like they're changing lots of things. They're purifying. So I'm not talking smack about the machines.
Yeah, it's not a bad investment, but there's different ways to approach it.
The machines may be able to do way more than just increase hydrogen levels.
That's the really cool thing, though, about functional medicine is that you can do as much or as little as you want to do. There is going to be a biohacking unit, tool, modality, something you can do, or you can simply buy some tablets. It's really, that's the cool thing about it. So yeah, your hydrogen pills.
There's multiple ways. Yeah. Awesome. Ready for the next question? All right.
Let's go.
All right. This next question is from Angela.
So I have chronic Lyme, new Lyme, co-infections, chronic EBV, reactivated EBV, mast cell is really bad for me. Lots of trauma that have happened to me over the last course of the 2 years with family court and being my mom's legal guardian and losing my mom, and my body is wrecked right now. I can only have like 3 or 4 safe foods that I can eat. I deal with insomnia and all kinds of vast issues that I could just go on and on about. But my question is, all this education is out there and there's so much like contradiction, right? And I can't go to a normal doctor because I can't do antibiotics with my sensitivities. So how do you know where to go and who to go and what is the right path for you to go on? Everything is so expensive out of pocket. I have had consults with multiple leading doctors on Instagram and I don't know where to turn.
Okay. I'm so sorry you're going through that, honestly. Do we have her name?
Angela.
Angela. Sorry. So sorry you're going through that, Angela. And that's a lot of our patients. We have like 2 groups of telehealth patients, people that are really going through what the world may call mystery illnesses or complex issues, and they've done a lot and they're still spinning their wheels. And then people that are looking just to optimize their health, and then everything in between. That's sort of our 2 sort of main groups. But a lot of our people have exhausted all options. And they're better than they would be if they weren't doing those things, but they're spinning their wheels and they're stuck at a plateau. So obviously there's limitations to answering your question in front of millions of people without knowing like a deeper health history, because there's a lot of health context and nuance that I don't have within the scope and of the AMA episode. So I hope that you can appreciate that. But this is something that we definitely have a lot of clinical experience for. And I would want to look at the physiological and psychological components to what's causing that dysregulation. I hear the chronic stress of what you went through with your mom and the impact that's having on your neuroimmunoendocrine axis, that intersection between your nervous system, the immune system, i.e. inflammation, and your hormones, your endocrine system. I'm hearing the fact that you've done a lot and you're kind of whittled down to 3 or 4 foods. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier with the food sensitivity testing. What's keeping the body lacking, deficient in resilience? What's causing that lack of resilience in the body? And it's going to be a combination of different physiological and psychological things that are interplaying that's impacting the dysregulation of the body. The inflammation is there, but why? And a health history, labs, and a thoughtful protocol would be able to lean into that, would be able to address that. So some things, like I don't have your labs, right? And I don't know all this stuff, but some things that we would be doing is looking at food and meeting your gut where it's at, meeting your body where it's at, and building a thoughtful clinical nutrition protocol. We're bringing in the most significant needle mover supplements that we would be bringing in to move the needle for you. So it could be mast cell stabilization for some people. That typically is like an earlier, if someone has wild, out of control mast cell activation syndrome, histamine intolerance, that typically
has to be where we start.
So much. Like we can't. Like that's part of the reason why you're reacting to all these foods.
Exactly.
So it's not those foods' fault, but we have to deal with calming that mast cell response. So from an order of operations standpoint, if you want to kind of get a bird's eye view into what we would typically do for a case similar to yours, is getting that histamine storm calmed down, starting there. And that's going to involve food, supplementation, vagal toning.
Let's say nervous system.
System regulation toning. And then addressing whatever, if there is an environmental toxin or biotoxin like bacteria, virus, and mold that's keeping that immune system alive or activated or hypervigilant, addressing that. It could be antivirals. It could be a mold clearance protocol. It could be something in the gut that needs to be pruned and supported as far as the microbiome is concerned. So those are some of the silos of things we want to consider, but it's all based on labs. We don't want to be doubling down on things that aren't relevant. So we want to look at like, okay, so the check engine light's on for Angela. We know that, but why?
Can we give a couple mast cell supplements that we see regularly? So Angela, again, I think Dr. Cole's point, I love these types of questions, but I hope people understand that our answers are sometimes going to be, you need to become a patient. I know you're looking for low cost, low effective ways, and becoming a patient might not be feasible for you.
Maybe giving her like some DIY stuff.
Do not take this as clinical advice. This is just some general things that we give for people with mast cell, and this is why they're on our store. But are the detoxer and or the methylator are a great place to start if you tolerate B complex as well. I would say the magnesium works so well for people and that mast cell response. The CoQ10 would be another one.
The L-carnitine
The L-carnitine.
Quercetin. And the vitamin C.
The vitamin C, the brilliancy.
Yeah.
And then I would say electrolytes. Bring in some electrolytes as well.
It's good.
Whether that's something that you make on your own, something like Sole water. It looks like Sole, S-O-L-E, if you want to look that up. But there are also, hasn't launched yet, just as Dr. Cole alluded to, check back next month. We're going to have our own hydration packs as well that are really good for people who are in mast cell flare responses or POTS or anything like that. Those would be my general... I feel comfortable telling the public, here's where we normally start. Now, dosages, how much, layering in, there's nuance to it, but those are the ones that we see work really well for mast cell.
Nor do we, to Andrea's point, you don't have to necessarily, you don't need all of those.
No.
But some people could have all of those for a time while we're actively calming things down. But for some people, it's a handful.
Yep.
But so maybe if let's start with 1 to 3, right, and lean in from there.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah, and pick the things that you think. Go on, read the description, see what makes sense for you. But I think the vagal toning, Emily and I feel uber passionate about this and have seen it with patients regularly.
So transcutaneous, somatic practices or transcutaneous vagal therapy can be great. Frequency medicine. So what are some things that you all like that we utilize? Because it's not.
I feel like Emily and I talk about this all the time.
Therapeutics that can be
Where do you want to start? Like, do we want to go to therapy and try EMDR? It sounds like you just went through an incredibly stressful time with your mother, and I went through, you guys know this. So we all personally have had loss in our life. And my grandmother lived with my husband and I. And that was hard, being a caretaker, working full time. I remember my nervous system, it took 2 years for me to sort of feel human again. And I work here. This is just how my body responded to stress. But EMDR would be an awesome thing for that. And Emily, I know you love your FSM therapy recommendation.
EMDR, for people that don't know, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it involves working on past trauma using eye movement to retrain the nervous system.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And so it's not your traditional talk therapy per se, which that doesn't always resonate with people. If it does, fantastic. Get your emotions out. Have a sounding board. Have someone to be there for you. But EMDR
I kind of like
great.
the alternating EMDR talk therapy. So you can sort of process and integrate after the EMDR session. So I think a both and approach there is really helpful in these circumstances.
Yeah. No, I know we talked about the FSM therapy before too, but that frequent specific microcurrent therapy too can just be really helpful at calming inflammation really quickly, but also, again, calming the nervous system quickly too. I mean, we've had patients who, you talk about safe foods, but even safe supplements, right? Like sometimes they can't even take any type of B vitamin,
the B complex.
They can't even take magnesium, right? And we've had patients before who could only take a dash of something, and even just a few rounds of something like FSM therapy or combined with EMDR or something like that, we've been able to get them to full doses, right? So and it's in conjunction with what we're doing beyond that too, but it's definitely a game changer at calming down that mast cell response very quickly. And I love, Dr. Cole, what you talk about all the time is finding something active, something passive to do too. And we recently talked about that. But I do think, maybe if you feel like there's too much on your plate already, having that passive, even something like the Apollo Neuro device, right? That's a more passive, it's an investment still, but it's a device that you could wear that is
Sensate.
Right, yeah, Sensate's another great one.
Who's that?
The Happy device, yeah. So
a brain tap.
Yeah. Sometimes something like that can be really helpful with someone starting out because they do feel overwhelmed with how much their body is burdened and just trying to manage it all, right? And so that's a great one. But again, these other ones I think are so important to use.
And if you want free, there's YouTube videos.
Yeah.
You need someone to meditate with you. You need to be able to breathe. You just want breathing exercises. Go take your cell phone outside, sit in the grass, put on a YouTube video and take some deep breaths.
Some grounding while you're habit stacking on YouTube, right? Or many other apps. You talked about an app that you like to recommend.
Nerva app.
Yeah.
Hands down, it's one of
love
my
that.
favorite. Like, I have never had issues sleeping, but I didn't realize how deep of a sleep, how much more rested my body can feel. I did not think I was the type of person that would do well with hypnosis type exercises, but I did, and it works really well for me. And it was a one-time investment, and now I have it, and I can use it as often as I need to and revisit it.
I love Soak. SOAAK. I had the founders on the podcast. They, I love them. They are frequency medicine as well, and they sort of pair the frequency medicine at certain hertz frequencies with nature sounds and like guitar, like instrumental. Acoustic guitar, which is really relaxing. And we talked on the pod before, but ugly journaling. That's another free or low cost, at least the cost of the journal.
Yeah,
but
I would also buy the book in association with it too.
There are amazing Mind Your Body.
Yeah,
as well,
Mind Your Body. And honestly, I know this, we don't have a guide to it, but Your Gut Feelings book, Dr. Cole, just from an understanding, sometimes people don't understand
I
that
talk about
connection.
journaling in that book.
Yeah. But I meant like that it doesn't come with a journal.
Right. Yeah, get the journal. But yeah, journaling and getting all your emotions out, especially for someone who went through a lot. Her own physical health trauma, and then on top of that, trauma with her mom.
Yeah, watching someone pass away slowly is not... When you're a caretaker, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not. It can be months, years of, stress. And it sounds like she went through 2 years of a very stressful period.
Yeah. So we're there for you. Reach out whenever you're
I hope
ready.
those few things were helpful, though.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
where we would start.
Me too. All right.
Final question, Dr. Cole. This one was one of the ones we had that were written into us.
Let me just back up, guys. We literally have a Google Doc that has thousands of questions.
Yeah.
So we're cognizant of that, that we want to like transition to SpeakPipe, but we still want to get to some of many questions that you've submitted already. So we're going to still do these to get through the questions we have.
Yeah. And again, if we don't answer your question exactly, we do try and find ones that are similar.
Yeah.
So if you're listening every episode, we may not read yours exactly, but I
won't sound like
promise
yours,
you we'll try and get to it. So this one's from Maria W. She said, "First, I wanted to thank you for providing such great information on a regular basis. It is really appreciated. I have seen a lot of talk about natural flavors. Some people think it's not a big deal, and for others, it is a deal breaker. What is your perspective on natural flavors? Should I be concerned about consuming them? I have heard this is a place where companies can hide them, chemicals, or even seed oils. I would really appreciate knowing your thoughts on this, since I'm seeing it even in healthier products." We didn't pick this one just because she complimented us. It was a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. So we haven't really covered it on the podcast at all. So this is like a first in however many years, 5 years or so. So it is, natural flavors are defined by FDA codes, like FDA rules. So brands can kind of lump a lot of different things within natural flavors or natural flavoring, which is the concern, because it's kind of an ambiguous term. It's not very descriptive. There's not a lot of transparency and disclosure on what the context of that natural flavor is. So that's the concern. It could be anything, right? It really is a problem, and that's why I'm such a hopeful of Dr. Marty Macri, is the fact that we have somebody within the FDA, the FDA commissioner, that is in functional medicine. He's Johns Hopkins trained, conventionally trained physician, but he's also in functional medicine. And I know them personally, and they want to work through these laws that are archaic, they're not really helpful to the consumer, they're in the interest of big food and big pharma, and not necessarily the health of the American people. There's a lot of untangling that has to happen. I don't know if this is like where on their list of important things. It's important to me. I'm right there with her. But it is a wide variety. It could be something as innocuous as herbs and spices, fruit and vegetable extracts. It could be essential oils. It could be something so benign, but it also can be pretty wild things as well. It could be herbs and spices.
Yes.
Right? But here's some other things that it can be. Want to hear these?
I'm so waiting
This
for
is-
this.
Some of these more wild out of the box things that can be labeled as
This is
natural
something
flavors.
my husband literally, who he loves what I do, but he's not very inclined, but he'll pick something up and he goes, natural flavors. Do you know what that means? So I'm excited for him to listen to this.
So here's one that can more rare, but still can be labeled as natural flavor. You would never know unless you found out. Castoreum. You guys know what castoreum is?
No.
It is a secretion
Is this
from beaver anal glands.
I've heard this. So the beaver anal glands, because it is a distinct smell or taste, correct?
It could be used.
You guys, I'm going to vom right now. Okay.
It can be used for vanilla or berry-like flavors.
That's a new. I had heard this before. I didn't know that was the name of it. You've never heard of this before?
I have heard of it before, but I didn't know it's called castoreum.
No, I
didn't know it was
lost me at secretion. First of all,
So, castoreum, but guys,
Beaver
look,
secretion.
what's the context of the beaver anal glands being used in our food system? Poor beavers, man. What's that process
I
look
don't
like?
even want to.
Seriously,
Well,
that
I
does not
mean,
sound ethical at all.
well,
not.
let's just talk about. Well, that could be a whole nother conversation. Breeding in general, how that stuff goes. There's lots of stuff.
Sigh of relief because I'm about to do some good news. We're only using 300 pounds of castoreum a year in our food supply. So
that's still a lot.
It makes me feel any better
who the
for
heck's
the
buying 300
beavers?
pounds of anal glands from beavers? I want to know.
Wait, so
Why?
okay.
Vanilla, berry-like flavors. It's used in perfumes as well, so it's not just foods. But still, you're spraying it on yourself. If it smells like vanilla,
Beaver
it could
anal
be
gland.
anal glands from beavers.
I'm at a loss.
Bath
for
and Body
words.
Works. Is this what you're? Is this your French
use that.
vanilla that I smell? every
Ew,
time?
I don't use that, but it's fine.
It's that smell when you walk by in the
fine.
mall that
Yeah.
you know is very
Is that
Never be
distinctly.
able to
beaver?
go into that place ever again.
Well, I don't go in there already
I don't
'cause
go
the
in there either,
toxins,
but that's
but-
what I'm telling our audience. You'll never be
Is
able to
that
go there again.
beaver butt?
The next time you're walking by, just ask yourself.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
well, apparently it smells kind of good. I mean, I don't know
Well,
how.
obviously,
yeah.
I don't think it'd be
Okay,
being
I want to
used.
know how they figured that out.
Yeah,
Though.
right. Who's the guy that's like, berry?
No, this is probably from some like 1600s hunting thing that they
It's
were
just
like,
known for
yeah, it's
decades.
been, this is probably,
Centuries.
we are just too desensitized to our food
100%.
system. But I will say,
Yeah.
it's still weird.
And look, a lot of this has to do with the grass loophole, generally recognized as safe, which I let me be honest with this, I do know that it's on the hearts and minds of everybody within HHS, within Secretary Kennedy, within Dr. Macri, and the whole team there. They are interested in closing that loophole. 'Cause it started out with good intentions. Like if it was like salt or like basic things, you wouldn't have to get approval on every little thing.
Yeah, like
but now
herbs
they
and
use
spices
the
and-
grass. They
Right.
use generally recognized as safe as a way to like get in all this extra stuff.
Okay.
Some other things. If beaver butt wasn't the only thing you had to worry about, the rest are not that interesting. But
Okay.
MSG, monosodium
How
glutamate.
is that a natural flavor?
I didn't know that
Because
though,
it
yeah.
is naturally derived. Yeah, it is. It's yeast extracts or
Yeah.
hydrolyzed proteins from yeast extract. Is it a problem for everybody? No. I think there's a lot of fear mongering of MSG. I don't think it's something
Yeah.
that needs to be. Everybody needs to avoid it. But there's people that get headaches
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the stuff. Is it like life threatening? No.
No.
But like, do you want beaver glands in
Absolutely
your
not.
drink?
I just
Maybe not.
can't.
Maybe you do. But it should be informed consent. If I'm going to
Your eyes
consume
are for
beaver
the
anal glands.
beavers.
Yes. Good. That's it.
I'm fighting for the beavers
That is
now.
Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah.
Make your
can't.
beavers safe again.
Yeah.
But no,
Yes.
but would you
Save the
ever
beaver
in your
butts.
right mind buy a drink or anything
If
that
it said,
said
like,
beaver
derived
anal
from
glands?
beaver anal glands? No.
No.
No one would.
No.
But what's
If
the,
you say
what's
yes
the
to
technical
that-
term though?
Castoreum.
If that was
Yeah.
on there, I wouldn't look that up. So
No.
I'm.
Yeah.
But if it said,
But I'm glad that it's waning
Yeah.
in popularity. Now 300 pounds. It probably was thousands of pounds at one
yeah,
point.
all right,
We're phasing it out. Don't worry.
beaver therapy coming soon.
Monosodium glutamate, yeah, MSG, is hydrolyzed from yeast and extracts. So
Right,
it's
right.
naturally derived, but it can cause someone headaches and nausea. Some people
Sure.
are MSG sensitive. Some people aren't. Bioindividuality. But you don't know if it's just labeled as natural flavors.
Right.
GMO-derived flavors. That's not labeled. Unless it's organic, which you can assume at that point that it's not GMO. If it's not organic, it says natural flavor. It can be extracts from GMO
Yeah.
crops like corn and soy.
That's an
Is it a
important
problem
one.
for everybody's like goals? Maybe not. Maybe you're fine with
Right.
it. But there's no awareness.
Fine with glyphosate
But sticking-
and
but
other
sticking
things are
more
probably.
to-
we're not saying just because it's drive doesn't mean there's glyphosate in it.
I know, but the
that's-
likelihood is much higher.
Right, and there's no third party testing on these things. There
Yeah.
could
Right.
be. You just don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And some other, allergen derived flavors from allergenic sources like dairy, soy, or nuts. Milk derived butter flavor. It could be definitely a problem for some people. Chemically processed extracts. So, like, what was the agent in which, like, what are they using? Hexanes and solvents to extract it.
Right.
Or it's not the active ingredient, but it's the chemical extraction process that's problematic for your body, which isn't a problem for everybody. So that's sort of the issue with natural
It
flavors.
wasn't as big of a list as I was expecting.
Well, I'm sure I could find out more if you
Yeah,
wanted.
I just meant
But-
like I don't know. I expected
It
like
wasn't
this like
enough to tell us about the beaver butts, is what she was saying.
Yeah, I should have ended with that. It was like anticlimactic. Like, you started with beaver glands?
I don't even think I heard anything else you said after you said
No. But look, here's the deal. Is it an issue for everybody? No. Does it cause sensitivity? Does everybody have sensitivities to these things? No. As you can see with our telehealth patients, some of them are more likely to have food sensitivities to these things. So is it sometimes the granular details that we're like improving label literacy with telehealth patients? Yes, it is. This is where I feel like it's going to be beneficial to know the brands.
Yes,
The brands,
yeah.
like, we may even release things that say natural flavors on them, but I will do my best to make on the label and saying derived from fruit and
Exactly.
fruit extracts. So yes, it's technically a natural flavor, but it's coming from a fruit extract.
yeah.
Right.
So I think label transparency wherever you can is important for brands. And if they can't put it on the label, or the labels are already made and people are asking questions, call the brand up, email the brand,
Yeah.
and say, can you provide me where you're sourcing your natural flavors from? So you can
Yeah.
have, and it sucks as a consumer that you have to do that, but that's the best you can with this sort of the status of grass and the natural flavor code within FDA.
Right.
Yeah, and once you get that answer, then you know long term. It's not like you have to actively seek that out every single time. If you have a trusted brand that you like and you do reach out and they're able to give you an answer,
Yeah,
now
so they
you
have
have an
different
answer.
products.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. To me, it also seems like it's typically such a small amount too. In the product, it's like ancillary compared to everything else. So I tend not to stress about it. I tend not to.
But if you're getting random headaches, like,
Yeah. If,
then
if you
then look
are
at these
someone
things.
that
And we
is-
are,
yeah.
again, because we're working with chronically
Or digestive problems.
or digestive problems, right?
Yeah.
I think that we see the value in saying, hey, we need to be mindful of this and remove this for a time too.
Your question, what is a common question?
It is.
We get asked that
We
a
get
lot.
it a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, so great questions, guys. So keep them coming. Remember, speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. I want to see these questions come in. But if you want to learn more about all the things we're talking about, there's so much free resources at drwillcole.com. So many articles I've written over the years. So go check it out, drwillcole.com. Submit your question at speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. We'll see you next time.